Do you believe that you can heal yourself? Too often we give our power away to something outside of ourselves, and rarely, if ever, trust and tap into our innate healing power and intuition. Everyone has this capability to heal in ways we never thought possible. It's your sovereign right to claim and have true health and lasting wellness. Now, here is the host of the Dr. Dolores Show, Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Dr. Dolores Show with your host, myself, Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. And we are going to be talking about mirrors of the soul, self-reflection mastery. Self-reflection is, I find that it is a necessity in my life because it allows me to go to places where, sometimes you think about something and you put it on the shelf for later. Go to the place where the shelf for later stuff is to kind of go look at it and just kind of feel into what that was all about, or, possibly, trying to figure out why it happened. And I'm very mindful with how I say this because it's not about trying to figure it out. It's about really gaining wisdom from those situations. So, just a little bit to add about today's show is that in this captivating episode, we're going to delve deep into the art of self-reflection and unveil the transformative potential it holds. Self-reflection isn't just a tool, it's a key to unlock the door to your true self. This is where you get to go a little deeper within yourself. And I say, connect the dots. Picture this, you're standing in front of a mirror, and as you gaze into it, you begin to see beyond your physical reflection. You see your dreams, your fears, your potential, and your path to becoming the best version of yourself. That's the magic of self-reflection. What we're going to do is embark on a journey today of self-discovery, growth, and empowerment. And, and that's the exciting part about self-reflection. It isn't about listening, it's about doing, it's about taking inspired action to transform your life. And it's really not about doing, it's about being. And I really want to accentuate the fact about being. Too often in our lives, we're in doing mode. What I mean by this, it's like we're always in motion, always, thinking that we have to figure it out, trying to make something happen, trying to, I call it pushing a boulder up a hill. You know how exhausting that is? And it's just like you take a step backward and the thing goes rolling down and you keep pushing forward. I'm going to invite you to possibly look at this situation differently, meaning that maybe it's about doing things, doing things different. Maybe it's more about being, okay? So when you look at being, it's more of like being anchored in your body. It's like you're in the present moment. You are here, right now. Nothing else matters. And this is where all our rich treasure trove is, where we got all these gold nuggets, where we're able to slow ourselves down enough so that we're able to tap into our innate wisdom. So when we are in this place and we're reflecting, we're gaining wisdom from experiences we probably have had, or, and I mean experiences, I mean everything that we label as good or bad. What they are just experiences. I call them educational opportunities because we are all here on earth to earn our PhD in being human. Did you know that? It's the truth. We are learning how to become a better version of ourselves. And if you dare to go there, at a deep soul level. And I know that's very, out there for some people, and I invite you to just ponder on that and just reflect on that of all things, right? So, going back to what our life is like, we're in constant motion, meaning that our society has programmed us into believing the illusion that in order to be a productive member of our society, you have to be in motion and constantly doing something. And it's so repetitive, so anxiety producing, which creates a lot of stress. And what we know about stress is, like, if you're really stressed out, it affects your overall body and your pathophysiology within your body, and then eventually you get sick. Your immune system gets compromised and you pick up something and you get sick. And so that's at that point where people realize sometimes that, okay, I need to make some changes in my life because what I'm doing here is not working. So it's about pulling yourself back, reflecting on what is working in your life, what isn't working in your life, and adjusting that and making the changes so you're able to move forward with a lot more grace and ease. I mean, that's what it's really all about. The illusion is that we have to work hard to exist. And that's a belief. That's an old paradigm that we're witnessing crumbling. It's about being in balance within yourself, because when we begin with ourself, and everything starts with self first, when we are able to become aligned and in balance within ourselves, it ripples out into the universe. Okay. Example: collective consciousness is this big pool of water. Okay. A big body of water. Each one of us as individuals is one drop into that pool of water that is the collective. When we start showing up differently or changing something or just doing behavior as we have been doing it before, that's our drop that goes into collective consciousness. And what we know, when we put a drop into a body of water, it ripples out and it expands across the whole body of water. So we really are affecting the whole of collective consciousness by how we show up and what we are, believe it or not. Either whether we show up, in our best self or our not so best self, this all pools into collective consciousness. And when you reflect on how you show up in the world and how you show up in your life and how you show up for other people, this is where you're able to gain a lot of traction and wisdom. And I say this because everything starts with us first. If you're not liking what you're seeing out here, there's probably a part of that's within yourself on a deep level. So next time that happens, I invite you to, become aware. Just take a deep breath and realize, okay, this is really bugging the bejeebers out of me. And be curious like a child. And why is that so? So just take a deep breath and just pull yourself back, and you're able to observe the situation from a higher vantage point. It's almost like being on top of a mountain looking down on a situation instead of being right in it, in the thick of it. A lot of times when we're in the thick of it, it's like we kind of forget who we are and we're just on automatic and we go into do and react. Okay. So we're like playing whack-a-mole at the fair and trying to control it and fix it and whatever we do, because we just don't want to have to deal with it. And the sooner that we could fix it, we could just pretend it's not there. But guess what? It's still there because we haven't really expanded and looked upon what is really going on. So it'll show up again as a pattern possibly, or, come in as another variant of it, which is still part of the pattern. I call it themes and variations of a core issue, where you're getting another aspect of it and you get to look at it from that other aspect. Okay. This is, people think, oh, it's so black and white. No, it's not. There's so many shades of gray with this, that there's all these possibilities, because we are in a environment that enhances possibilities because of our free will. Okay. And, I think the most important thing to, take away with this is to remember that you could be the change that you want to see. Okay. And I know, I believe, I want to say it was Martin Luther King who said that, be the change that you want to see, or whatever. But it's so true, because it's all up to us. I believe the day that we will see peace on earth is when every individual works on themselves and takes ownership of what they are putting into collective consciousness. Will that happen? I hold the space that there's a possibility that may. However, you know what? We've got a lot of work to do, and each one of us has to show up in our perfection and to be responsible, take ownership and responsibility for the things that we create, instead of blaming it on somebody else. Or, and this is where ancestral stuff kind of comes in as well. Generation after generation, many people we are programmed by our immediate environment, what we are raised in, what's going on energetically. And I'm going to even back up. As soon as we're conceived as a fetus, we are starting to absorb energy of our environment and taking that on. So energetically, we are, tapped into all of this stuff. And it's about the discernment part as we evolve in our lifetime to be able to determine what is really our stuff and what is other people's stuff. That's where the whole boundary thing, energetic boundaries, come in. So, I believe that right now we're in a very ripe situation where a lot of amazing things can happen in a flash of a light, and also a snap of a finger. That's how easy and quickly it can happen. So, reflection is a big deal, I think. I believe it's a very important thing. It's the time that you're allowed to be and experience, get insights, get some opportunities possibly as to how to move forward. It's about allowing yourself to show up for yourself, really. It's giving yourself permission to go there and to be fully present with yourself. It's a very intimate moment with yourself, basically. We talk about intimacy, and it's not sexual or whatever. It's about really deep-seated in deep conversations and experiences that really touch your soul at a very deep and profound level. So for our listeners, welcome to the Dr. Dolores Show. We're going to go and get ready to go on our first break. And I'm Dr. Dolores Fazzino, and we're talking about reflection. Reflection, and how to be a master of that for yourself. So stay tuned, because when we come back, we'll talk more about that. We're going to go on a break now. See you when we get back.
Do you trust your instincts? Many of us don't. Yet this is the key to connecting to your innate healer within and your intuition. Tune in to the Dr. Dolores Show with nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer, Dr. Dolores Fazzino, to receive insights and tools to realign with your inner wisdom for lasting health and true wellness. Listen for the Dr. Dolores Show, Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Mountain, 12 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email becomeahost@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is the Dr. Dolores Show with Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also send an email to Dolores at drdoloresfazzino.com. Now, back to the program.
Well, welcome back, everybody. You're listening to the Dr. Dolores Show, and I'm Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and an energy whisperer. And we've been talking about mirrors of the soul, self-reflection, mastery. And before we went on break, we were talking about the importance of being aware of whether you're doing in the doing mode or the being mode. And, that self-reflection is about taking inspired action to transform your life. And, like I was saying earlier, we're all here getting our education on being a human, basically. We're all here, we're all enrolled in the PhD program on planet Earth to become a human and to experience everything that is possible as a human being. And these things are so important because our presence here on Earth at this time is only a small microcosm of who we are at a grander soul level. So we're getting educational enrichment, if you want to call that, and experiences to allow our soul to grow at a more deep and profound level. And, we're here because of free will. We have chosen to be here. And also, it's also good to remember that, since you're here of free will, you have choices and nothing can get in your way or interfere with that unless you allow that to happen. So, with that being said, many of us, sometimes when we go into self-reflection, sometimes you might feel like this loneliness or this, like you've been abandoned maybe, or whatever comes up for you. And that's not necessarily the truth, because being in reflective time and going within, there's such a richness of help available to you. And we have to remember to invite that help to come or ask for it. How many times do we think that we have to do it all by ourselves, another doing thing, and we feel like we're isolated and alone, and we forget to ask for help? Anybody here Lone Rangers? They think they have to do it all by themselves, and God forbid if you ask for help, it's a sign of weakness. I invite you to throw that whole philosophy out the window. Sometimes we forget to ask for help because we're so caught up in that doing mode and that drama that goes around and around and around that we forget about, that we are worthy of asking for help, and it is okay for us to ask for help. One thing that's interesting, I'm going to talk about, I bridge the physical with the spiritual and the invisible with the visible. So I'm going to go into one of those visible and invisible modalities right now. We have so many helpers that are in our invisible world, so to say, that are there waiting for us to ask them to help. And it could be just as simple as that, if you're going through a real tough time, just take a deep breath and just say, I really could use your help right now. You could say it out loud or to yourself, to your angels, or just say, angels, please come and help me. Or if you have a favorite ascended master or saint or angel that you work with, or even God, or whatever you believe in, Buddha, any other, whatever you believe in, just ask them to come and be around you, and just, allow yourself to receive that right here, right now. You might sense a calmness that comes over you, and maybe you'll feel like a warm blanket being embraced around you. Maybe you'll just, you might not feel anything, but just know that they are there, even though you may not be able to sense anything. Okay. It's just the trust that you are not alone, because you're not. And you just ask for some insight and some assistance into what's going on and how you could better show up in service to humanity, but also to assist you and others in your immediate vicinity as well. When you start approaching life from that aspect, the external world that you're in has less of an impact on you. Okay. It's like you are gaining your certainty and balance from within yourself. So as we were talking about, before we went on break, when you are in balance within yourself, that's going to start rippling out into the collective. You may witness different scenarios being presented to you that are maybe more in harmony with who you are, instead of something that is not in harmony. Okay. And I'm going to take that a step further. Remember that everything is energy and a frequency. When we start working on ourselves and going into reflection and, connecting with our, all the helpers in the spirit world, the benevolent beings that are coming through, this is when you are able, and you are actually raising your frequency. So whatever is on the external is a set vibration or whatever that is. And as you're raising your frequency, you're no longer vibrating at that same energy level that's down here possibly, or you notice that there's a gap there. So the thing is like, it's not really impacting or affecting you, because there's no longer an energetic attraction to the same type of vibration. I hope that makes sense to you. But that's how it is. As you raise your frequency, you're going to be tapping into more things that are aligned with the frequency where you're at. So, circling back to what we were talking about in the first segment of this show, is that if you're not liking what you're seeing, it's like there's an energetic match there and a frequency. So how do we, or what can be done in order to change that? And by going into self-reflection and connecting with yourself and looking at things from a different, or observing things and witnessing things from a different perspective, you gain the wisdom. So what's happening is like your vibration is getting higher and higher, and you notice that there is, you're at a higher vibration than what was there. So it's like, it's no longer going to be effective to you. Okay. So that's something to ponder on, to reflect on, and to see the possibilities. I feel when we're in reflection, we're opening up to the infinite amount of possibilities that are there for us. And this is the beauty of being human. You get to choose what you would like to experience, or which pathway you would like to go down in order to get to your goal. A lot of times we have these inspiring goals that we want to accomplish in our life, and we think that, we figured out how we're going to make a beeline to that path. And, the universe laughs at us because it's like, here we are thinking, this is the only way. We got blinders on, like a horse has blinders, so he can't see anything but what's in front of him. And it's like you miss the bigger picture, because did you ever think that maybe there's a different way to get there that may be even better than what you created, and are so dug in, and you're resistant to anything that is not this, to make that happen a certain way. So I invite you to take those blinders off and just really allow yourself to fully experience the beauty of being in reflective time, and just to gain the wisdom from that. And people think, oh, she's sitting around, she's doing nothing. No, I'm reflecting. It's a full-time job in there, and I'm really gaining a lot of wisdom and a lot of insight. So that's the illusion that the world thinks when you're sitting still, you're doing nothing, when in fact you are doing more than what you could probably imagine, because you're connected to, it's almost like you're here and you're the tip of the funnel, and all this information is being pulled into you and being downloaded into you. And now you're able to integrate that and take what you would like to move forward with, and go with it. It makes life so much easier, trust me, because it's like when you take the step out that I have to figure it out all by myself and do it my way. Yeah, that's a whole nother lesson for another time. It's, what, been there, done that. And it's nice to know that there's a different way to do things that is actually more easy and effortless. And when you continue to move into the flow of this, you're going to be able to really tap into some magical things. This is where your creativity is really going to get enhanced, because you're allowing the space for that to come. What a lot of people don't realize is that everything we ever wanted for ourselves, is there in our energy field. Okay. And it's like, when people ponder why isn't it happening? And blah, 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 blah. It's all frequency. It's all energy. Like I was sharing with you earlier. It's like, it's probably vibrating up here, and maybe you're down here. Okay. So when you're in, reflection, if you're able to do what you can to raise your frequency, connect with your higher self and the helpers that are there with you, you're raising your frequency and raising your frequency, and voila, here it is. It's like, oh, it's right here. And it's like, you're going to find that it's easy. Things will start happening easy and effortless. It's about allowing yourself to raise your frequency and vibration to match what's already there for you. I feel like this is what we're here to master here on earth as being a human being, learning how to manipulate, I wouldn't say manipulate, but to master energy, frequency, and flow of that, because really that's what it's all about. We are here more, we're in exciting times right now, because we are so rich with possibility and so many amazing possibilities. And a lot of times this is going to come from when we go into self-reflection and spend what we call downtime, if you want, or, rest time, and just allow those inspirations to come through and to rise to the top like cream on a bottle of unpasteurized and homogenized milk. It just rises to the top. So you're going to get the cream of what you need to know right at the top at your access. So for those who have just popped in, you're listening to the Dr. Dolores Show. I'm Dr. Dolores Fazzino. And we're talking about reflection and mastering that. And we're going to go on a short break right now. And when we come back, we'll share some more and we'll learn more about why reflection is so important. So stay tuned and we'll see you after the break.
Do you trust your instincts? Many of us don't. Yet this is the key to connecting to your innate healer within and your intuition. Tune in to the Dr. Dolores Show with nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer, Dr. Dolores Fazzino, to receive insights and tools to realign with your inner wisdom for lasting health and true wellness. Listen for the Dr. Dolores Show, Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Mountain, 12 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is the Dr. Dolores Show with Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also send an email to Dolores at drdoloresfazzino.com. Now, back to the program.
Well, welcome back, everybody. You're listening to the Dr. Dolores Show, and I'm Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. And we are talking about self-reflection mastery, mirrors of the soul. And before we popped out on break, we were just talking about how everything is frequency and energy. And when we are in self-reflection, it's almost like a time where we could reboot our battery so we could get inspired downloads from the heavens, our higher self, the ethers, whatever you want to call it, our intuition, where we are able to look, observe and look at things that probably have transpired or experiences we have experienced, and what we could attain from that, or the wisdom that we're gaining from that as well. Self-awareness really, it allows you to get a deeper understanding of who you are and what your values, beliefs, and strengths and weaknesses may be. And so it's not about, going into judgment mode or criticizing yourself. It's just about observing and witnessing things. It actually enhances our emotional intelligence. And I know that's a real big buzzword right now, emotional intelligence. And I'm thinking to myself, what's that? Well, what emotional intelligence is being aware. I believe it has a lot to do with your awareness and your mindfulness of what is happening, not only within you, but also your environment as well. And how you could better show up, not only for you, but for those that you possibly serve or involved with, be it your family members, or if you're in the working world, how you show up for other people, or if you are, say, your own boss, how you show up for anybody in your life. It's about learning how to be a better version of yourself. I guess that's the best way to say that. It's really about personal growth. It's about, you could probably problem solve very effectively by just being in reflection. How often do we just go from react mode, and it's just like, just because we've done it a certain way before, we just automatically go there and we don't, contemplate or, respond, we react. So that's something to keep in mind too, as we are on our journey and our path here on earth, and working towards getting our PhD and being human. It's about embracing how we show up. Are we a reactor? Are we a responder? There's a big difference. It's something to come within and just find out, where you fall on that, and just ask a deeper question as to why is that so? And, you may be able to find that maybe you react because of a past history of other events that are very similar, that in order for you to feel safe and secure, you needed to be in that mode. Whereas maybe now that trigger is no longer effective, and it may be time to shift that to something, a little different, and, possibly better. So, something to reflect upon. How about that? Believe it or not, it actually helps you to reduce your stress, because when you reduce your stress, you're able to be fully present right here, right now. When people get stressed out, it's really interesting. Your energy field constricts and everything goes from being in your body into your head. So, for me being a intuitive, it's just like I could see where people's energy moves from here and goes, and it's just like the energy's here and it's like they're a talking head. Remember the group, the Talking Heads? I just crack up because it's just like they're just talking, it's just like they're not connected. It's a disconnect. So when you pop into stress mode, you're disconnected from your body, and the head is not knowing what the body's doing, and it's just like it causes chaos. So best thing you could do for that, just breathe, take a deep breath, take several deep breaths before you say anything or react. Just breathe, bring your energy into your body, and it's okay not to respond right there in the moment, and give yourself permission. Okay. And if it's something that you need more time to process, reflect, or whatever, just say, you know what, I'm going to have to remove I'm going to have to remove myself from the situation right now, but I will circle back later and come back with a different, probably perspective and understanding of what possibly was happening. That in itself is a challenge for people, particularly if they're chronic reactors, to change that behavior and become more reflective and responsive instead of reactive is, it's going to take baby steps possibly. And, there's a comfort and a trust level that's involved with that. But I invite you, if you start taking a step in that direction and going there, it'll probably be more rewarding than you know. I know for me in my personal life, it's just like, for, those that aren't aware of this, I still practice in an acute care setting, a hospital. And, there's a plethora of personalities and everything else that happens there. It's like you're in a huge dysfunctional family where everybody plays a part. And you know what? It's like, I love the title of a book that a colleague and a friend wrote. It's like, how did my family get in my office? Love that book, because what it's about is the dynamics that we've had from our families and our childhood and comes with us. It's like the whole energetic imprint that is imprinted to us is within our family, and it comes with us. And a lot of times we do things in the way that we responded when we were, in our family unit. So it's interesting how, and it's not interesting. It makes complete sense to me. Everywhere you go, here you are. So why wouldn't that energy come with you? Now, the beauty is when you're more in a reflective state and you realize that things are not working for you in an aspect of your life, this is where your power is. First of all, being aware that something isn't working and I need to change. Kudos for you for being awake enough to know that. That's huge. This is where your power comes. When you're aware that something's not working, this is where you could choose a different response. Okay. So, I know for me, having difficult conversations with people was a real problem, especially early on in my young adult years. And, conflict, I would avoid it at all costs because it's just like, I just didn't want to have to deal with any of it. And as I matured and got older, I realized that, what, this was my MO from my childhood, because this is how, we coped with things in our family. It's like, we're going to ignore it and pretend it's not there and it'll go away. And what, guess what? It doesn't go away. It actually gets bigger until you notice it and then do something about it. Okay. So in my adult world, it's been interesting because I work in, part of my joy of being my job, and I'm there for bigger reasons than just doing the job. We all are there. It's more of a quantum physics. There's a quantum aspect going on, and that's where I'm there because of that. So when you are able to, instead of be reactive, respond to a situation, it opens the doorway for possibilities, the things that could even get better in contrast to reacting. And I remember having a conversation with a colleague of mine, and he was, very, I would say, abrasive and very like, he would just react and he would just say things that, in front of people that were really shameful and, very kind of hurtful. And, so the best thing I did was I removed myself from the situation, but it took almost 2 weeks again before I saw him again. And so I decided that I knew that I needed to speak with him, and I wanted to make sure that it was done in a way that was going to be very compassionate, kind, and also honoring my boundaries as well. So, 2 weeks had passed and we were working together again. And I said, you know what? I need to revisit the situation that happened a few weeks ago when we were last together. I said, I know that you're wanting to build a team and wanting to build a program here with this project. I said, what I want to share with you is like how you responded to me in front of everybody is no way how to build a team. And it kind of took him back because he was like, oh my God, what did I do? And I said, you don't shame people or humiliate them in front of a group of people. And he's over there, oh my God, I didn't even realize I was doing it. I said, you did. And I said, it's okay. But I said, please don't let that happen again. I said, I am going to be one of your biggest supporters because I believe in you. And I really want to see this work. And you know what? This happened over 4 years ago, and we're really good friends. We really have a mutual respect for each other. And I believe it just opens so many doors because you know what? A lot of times, we don't realize when we're in react mode what we're doing because we're unconscious. And, when you're able to pull yourself back and do your reflection and kind of look at situations from the bigger picture, it's really has so much potential. It's ripe with possibility of what can be, and amazing things can transpire because of that. So I just invite you, whenever you have difficult things, just go into reflect mode and ponder. Don't go into react. Please don't. If you need to, just say, you know what, I need to stop here. Could we revisit this at another time? And just this is part of self-care for you, but also setting a boundary, but also being able to reflect and to respond, maybe at another time in a more compassionate, connected, and kind way. So I can't believe that we're getting ready to go on to our third break. So we're going to take a break right now. And when we return, we're going to learn more about self-reflection mastery and how you could really plug it into your life and make things work in a magical and more profound way. So you're listening to the Dr. Dolores Show. I'm Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, intuitive, and energy whisperer. And we'll see you when we come back from our break.
Do you trust your instincts? Many of us don't. Yet this is the key to connecting to your innate healer within and your intuition. Tune in to the Dr. Dolores Show with nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer, Dr. Dolores Fazzino, to receive insights and tools to realign with your inner wisdom for lasting health and true wellness. Listen for the Dr. Dolores Show, Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Mountain, 12 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. This is the Dr. Dolores Show with Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also send an email to Dolores at drdoloresfazzino.com. Now, back to the program.
Well, welcome back, everybody. And we're talking about self-reflection mastery. And before we went on break, we were talking about reacting versus responding, or observing and responding. And, something when you're more aware, okay, and you're awake. So, and you're realizing that you're at that pivotal point where it's like you could react and go down one rabbit hole, or do something different and respond and go in another direction. This is where your power comes in. The awareness is huge. And we were talking about, relationships and stuff like that, how important it really is to really check in and, because when you're reflective, believe it or not, the story that I shared with you with one of my colleagues, it's like it created a better relationship. So yes, better relationships could come out of it. When you're in reflective mode and you're responding instead of reacting, you're able to make better choices. And, it holds you more accountable to, and you're being responsible for how you show up in the world. And remember that whole thing with, the ripple effect and being that drop into that big pool of collective consciousness. How you respond moment to moment adds to that. Okay. So just be aware what you're putting into collective consciousness as well. It's about, because, oh my God, and punishing yourself. Please don't do that. It's more about just allowing yourself to be, and just be a human being. My gosh, you know what? We're not perfect. We're perfect in our own creation right now. That's the perfection of it. You're gaining more, you become more adaptable. It's like you're moving, I talk a lot about, being the flow of going down a river and just maneuvering through the rocks and just, going through challenging times, the rocks and the rapids, and then you come to a peaceful thing. It's like riding in your canoe and allowing the water to take you to where it needs to go instead of you resisting going there. Like, oars up in the boat. Don't put the oars down and try to fight this. And you know what if anybody's ever done river rafting, it's like fighting the thing and trying to control things is, it's an art. However, it's exhausting. And, when we're able to flow down the river, I always say oars up and just go. And just trust the process and trust what you're experiencing. Like I was saying, you're going to become more creative, and you're going to have more resilience, and your confidence is going to soar with that as well. So I invite you to look at going into like reflective mode and just giving yourself the gift of that, because it's rich with so many possibilities when we allow ourselves to go there. So, next week, our next show, since we're getting close to the holiday season, we're going to probably be talking about, you know, things that people who are empaths, intuitives, and highly sensitive people probably cringe when the holidays come because they're like, oh my God, I can't handle it. If it's too peoply out there, I can't handle it. I don't want to be able to do X, Y, and Z. Sometimes you just want to, huddle into your little cave and not do anything. The show is called Holiday Harmony for the Sensitive Heart. And, it's right up there with many of us, especially for those who feel obligated that they need to do X, Y, and Z for their family, or obligated because they feel like they just want to be perfect, or whatever that is. But this, let's talk about this a little bit. In the Holiday Harmony for the Sensitive Heart episode, we're going to discover the secret to reclaiming the joy of the holiday season with holiday harmony. This transformative episode combines the power of self-care and the art of setting boundaries to unwrap stress and create a truly harmonious holiday experience. In Holiday Harmony, we'll dive deep into the techniques and strategies to make your holidays not only stress-free, but deeply fulfilling. And that's really what it's all about. Whether you're tired of holiday chaos, overwhelmed by family obligations, or simply looking for a more meaningful celebration, let us guide you on a journey towards balance, self-care, and joyful festivities. Unwrap the gift of self-care. The holiday season often leaves us drained and disconnected from the true spirit of celebration. Isn't that the truth? Holiday Harmony will show you how to prioritize self-care, ensuring that you're going to enter the holiday season with a sense of vitality, inner peace, and renewed sense of joy. Set boundaries, savor memories. Setting boundaries doesn't mean shutting people out. It means creating the space for authentic connections and cherished moments. Holiday Harmony will equip you with the communication skills and mindset shifts needed to establish healthy boundaries without guilt. So we're going to learn more about balancing all of that, especially during the stressful times of the holidays. I could say that, for me, the holidays, I enjoy going into quiet mode and solitude and reflective mode, because for me, it's the end of the year, it's winding down, it's a time to be appreciative and grateful for, many of the gifts that I've received, throughout the year, not only the ones you receive at Christmas, but we get gifts all through the year. And to really be aware and focus on all those wonderful gold nuggets that, I've received during the year. So, once again, we were talking about self-reflection and mastering that. One thing to remember is it's a choice, and I invite you to step into that, really lean into spending some time being in self-reflection. It also could be a mindful activity for you if that's what you're into. Just spending some time, doing a mindful activity, and through mindful activity, sometimes you're in self-reflection already. So, maybe that's something to contemplate and step into and lean into. But I invite you to, because I know it'll be so worth it for you. And I would be so excited to hear about all the transformative things that happen from this, from self-reflection. So this is Dr. Dolores Fazzino of the Dr. Dolores Show. And just remember to love, appreciate, and be kind to yourself. We'll see you next time. Take care.
Thank you for listening to the Dr. Dolores Show. Dr. Dolores returns Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Mountain, 12 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. Until then, remember to be kind to yourself and create your best life. You are worth it.